At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to a family living a peaceful and happy life, completely unaware that within minutes, something terrifying is about to happen to them, something too horrifying to even imagine. While the husband and wife are busy talking inside their home, they suddenly begin hearing loud screams and chaos coming from outside. When they step out to see what is happening, they notice panic spreading through the neighborhood. People are rushing out of their homes and running away as if something catastrophic is about to occur. Jason and Beth see that even their neighbors are hurriedly packing their belongings and evacuating. Jason asks one of them what is going on and why everyone is leaving, but they are in such a rush that no one stops to answer him. He then notices the neighbor's young son packing his things and asks where they are going. The boy reveals that his father has a friend who works as a government officer, and according to him, a deadly virus has spread, one that can turn a normal human being into a monster. Before the boy can say anything more, his mother rushes over and pulls him away. Jason asks her what virus the child was talking about, but she urgently tells him there is no time to explain. She warns him to take his wife and daughter and get as far away from the city as possible. Hearing this leaves Jason and Beth deeply frightened. Without wasting another moment, Jason quickly puts his family into the car and begins driving out of the city. However, on the way, they notice something strange. The same neighbors who had been fleeing earlier are now turning back toward the city. Confused and uneasy, they continue driving until they become stuck in heavy traffic. When Jason and his family step out of the car, they realize that the only road leading out of the city has been completely blocked by the police. Helicopters begin patrolling the skies, and announcements are made telling everyone that a toxic virus has spread throughout the city and that all residents must immediately return to their homes. This makes Jason suspicious. If a dangerous virus has truly spread, why are people being forced to stay inside the city instead of being evacuated? Suddenly, a massive rock crashes down from a nearby mountain and lands on their car, sending everyone into panic. The mountain begins shaking, and moments later, two military fighter jets emerge from behind it and head straight toward the city. Within seconds, the jets begin dropping bombs across the entire area, turning the city into flames and destruction. Beth immediately realizes that if they had listened to the police and returned home, they would have been killed. Soon, the fighter jets start moving toward the people still trapped on the road. Chaos erupts as everyone understands that the government is trying to eliminate them. People begin running in every direction to save themselves, but Jason and Beth realize there is nowhere safe to escape because the jets will eventually find them. At that moment, Beth noticed a school building located on the mountain behind them and believed it might offer a better chance of survival. Jason grabbed Beth and their daughter Joey, and the three of them began climbing toward the school as bombs continue exploding behind them, destroying the bridge filled with fleeing civilians. Running as fast as they can, they finally reach the school, where they fortunately discover an underground tunnel. Just seconds before another massive explosion hits, they rush inside. The bunker door shuts, and a powerful blast shakes everything above them. Thankfully, being underground saved their lives. However, one terrifying question remains unanswered. What kind of virus was so dangerous that the government decided to destroy an entire city along with its people? They have no answers. The only thing they understand now is that if they want to survive, they must remain hidden inside the bunker. Their next concern becomes how long they can possibly live there and how they will manage food and water. Fortunately, they discover a large supply of expired food stored inside, enough to sustain 3 people for quite some time. Still, Beth remained deeply worried, constantly thinking about her daughter Joey and what would happen if she became sick. Adding to their troubles, Beth had injured her hand badly while shutting the bunker door, leaving her with a deep and painful wound. Both of them were also terrified by the thought that the deadly virus might have already infected their bodies. But this was not the time to panic. Their immediate priority was to secure the bunker so that no one from outside could open the door. Jason tightly sealed the bunker entrance using heavy iron chains and decided that from now on they would survive by staying hidden underground. Life beneath the surface, however, was far from easy. Every day felt exactly the same. They survived on repetitive meals, drank muddy and contaminated water, and passed time playing cards just to distract themselves. Their connection with the outside world was completely gone. After spending many days inside, the bunker began to feel suffocating, but they had no choice. Going outside meant certain death. This isolated life slowly made Jason's family feel as if they were witnessing the end of the world itself. One day, Joey asked her father how long they would have to stay there. Jason had no real answer. He simply told her that they would go outside once the virus was gone. To comfort her, he covered her eyes with his fingers and asked her to imagine the world outside the way it used to be. Days turned to weeks, and weeks quietly turned to months. Without realizing it, they had already spent more than 300 days waiting inside that bunker. Joey often looked at the outside world through a homemade periscope her mother had built. What she saw was nothing but destruction. The land outside appeared burned and lifeless, as if the entire world had turned into ashes. There was no sign of human life anywhere. Seeing this made the little girl believe that they might be the last people left alive. Her mother reassured her, saying that others might also be hiding somewhere, just like them. Night eventually fell, and it was time for dinner. Their food supplies were running dangerously low, so they had begun rationing small portions. But that day, because Joey insisted, they gave her an entire can. When she opened it, she discovered that the can was completely empty. A small hole at the back revealed that something had eaten the contents. Beth quickly checked the remaining cans and discovered that 12 of them were already empty. Panic spread instantly because that food was supposed to last them at least 2 more weeks. Looking toward the ventilation grate, Beth realized that a rat had entered the bunker and stolen their food. She insisted that the rat had to be killed immediately before it destroyed whatever supplies they had left. Trying to cheer up his disappointed daughter, Jason assured her not to worry about small problems. He promised that even if the food ran out, he would go to the surface and find more supplies. The next day, while Joey was playing with blocks alongside her mother, they suddenly heard a faint noise behind them. When Joey turned around, she saw the rat again sneaking in to steal canned food. Before it could escape, she quickly called her parents. This time, they were determined to kill it no matter what. Jason grabbed a knife and lunged forward in anger, but the small rat moved incredibly fast, dodging his attack and knocking over a lantern placed on the table. Just as the rat was about to escape into its hole, Beth suddenly jumped forward and managed to kill it. While they were briefly relieved and celebrating, the fallen lantern slowly began starting a fire. Jason rushed to turn it off, but the lantern was extremely hot, burning his hand. When the glass shattered, flames spread across the table. Beth tore down a curtain to smother the fire, while Jason poured half a bucket of water over it. After a desperate struggle, they finally managed to extinguish it.
But the danger was far from over. Although the fire was gone, thick smoke had filled the entire bunker and was slowly escaping through the ventilation shaft toward the surface. Realizing this, panic returned instantly because the smoke could reveal their hiding place. The family sat silently, barely breathing. Jason tried to reassure them, saying that the darkness of night might hide the smoke and prevent anyone from noticing their location. Fear kept all 3 of them awake throughout the night. The next morning, hoping to calm themselves, they checked the outside using the periscope. What they saw made their hearts sink. A massive cloud of smoke was clearly rising above their bunker. At that moment, they became certain that their hiding place had been exposed. Beth then realized that if smoke had risen outside, ash must have gathered nearby as well, and anyone investigating the area could easily trace it back to their bunker. Because of this, they decided the ash needed to be cleaned immediately. Jason and Beth agreed to go outside and clear the area themselves. Before leaving, Jason looked at his daughter Joey and made her promise that no matter what she heard from outside, no matter what happened, she must not leave the bunker under any circumstances. After taking her promise, he removed the chains from the door. The couple carefully listened for any sound outside, and once they were certain no one was nearby, they slowly opened the bunker door and stepped out, leaving Joey alone inside. Joey waited patiently for her parents to return, but as time passed and they still did not come back, anxiety began to take over. She climbed onto a stool and used the binoculars to check outside. Soon she spotted her parents trying to hide the bunker entrance. But then she noticed something terrifying. Deep within the forest, a dark shadow was rapidly moving toward them. Panic froze her breath. She screamed loudly, telling her father to look behind him, but the distance was too great and they could not hear her. Overcome with fear, Joey forgot her promise and climbed the ladder, stepping outside the bunker. The moment she came out, she realized her parents were no longer there. Frightened, she began shouting their names desperately. Suddenly, someone grabbed her from behind and covered her mouth. It was her mother. Seconds later, a herd of wild deer rushed past them at full speed. Although the family narrowly escaped danger, Beth's fear only grew stronger. Animals do not flee like that without reason. Something dangerous had clearly frightened them. Realizing the threat, the three of them ran back toward the bunker and quickly went inside. Jason sealed the entrance using wooden planks and tightened the iron chains again, instructing everyone to remain completely silent. Moments later, they heard faint footsteps above them. It sounded as if something was moving directly toward the bunker door. For several long minutes, whatever it was kept circling above their hiding place. Slowly and carefully, the family moved deeper inside the bunker, hoping that whoever or whatever was outside had not realized anyone was hiding below. Terrified, Joey began to cry, but Beth quickly comforted her, whispering that even the smallest sound could get them killed. They continued moving farther away from the entrance, so that even if someone managed to open the bunker door, they would not immediately be seen. But then, disaster struck. The string attached to the doll Joey was holding became caught in a loose screw on the floor. As the screw slowly came undone, Jason and Beth froze in horror because the string was connected to a sound mechanism inside the doll. Before they could react, the screw snapped free and the doll suddenly began making loud noises. Jason instantly tore the doll apart and destroyed the speaker inside, but it was already too late. Whatever had been searching above had now detected them. A heavy impact slammed down from above, followed by loud, echoing footsteps stopping directly over the bunker entrance. The creature had finally located them and began trying to force the door open. The metal hatch shook violently under repeated blows. Even though it was secured with chains, the danger was undeniable. The monster outside clearly knew someone was hiding beneath. One by one, the chains began snapping under its terrifying strength. Jason realized the door would not hold much longer. He rushed deeper inside and ripped out a metal pipe from the water pump. At the same time, Beth climbed onto the ladder and used her full body weight to pull the chains tight, desperately trying to keep the door shut. Despite their efforts, the heavy lid slowly began to open. Then a dark silhouette appeared above the entrance. Its eyes glowed like bright bulbs in the darkness, as if death itself were staring down at them. Without hesitation, Jason swung the metal pipe with all his strength, striking the creature and knocking it backward. Jason quickly wedged the metal pipe into the bunker door and forced it shut, causing the creature to retreat. Even after it fled, Jason's body continued trembling uncontrollably. He had never imagined that the outside world contained not only ruthless soldiers, but also terrifying monsters roaming freely. The entire family sat silently near the stairs, overwhelmed with fear, realizing that their hiding place had now been exposed. At any moment, another attack could come. After a short while, the cabinet inside the bunker suddenly began shaking. Jason and Beth immediately realized that the creature must have brought others with it. Heavy footsteps echoed above them, sounding as if countless beings were running directly over their heads. Soon, all of them gathered above the bunker entrance. This time, the force was far greater than before. The reinforced iron door finally gave way and crashed open. Dozens of glowing eyes appeared at the entrance, forcing the family to retreat deeper inside, while the creatures advanced toward them. In desperation, Beth threw her oil lamp and set a curtain on fire between them and the attackers. She and Jason pushed a cabinet forward to block the path, creating a temporary barrier. The family ran further into the bunker, fully aware that this would only slow the creatures for a short time. They had almost no chance left to survive. Just then, Joey noticed a ground ventilation opening nearby. Jason smashed it open with all his strength and pushed his wife and daughter through toward the outside. When he tried to follow, however, the narrow space trapped him halfway. Behind him, the monsters were closing in fast. Realizing there was no other option, looking into Beth's eyes, he told her to protect Joey no matter what happened. Seconds later, the creature dragged him back into the bunker.
Instead of begging for mercy, Jason faced the monsters and challenged them, refusing to die in fear. From outside, Beth and Joey heard horrifying screams echoing from within the bunker. Beth realized that Jason was fighting only to buy them time to escape. Fighting through grief, she grabbed her daughter and ran as far as she could, avoiding danger along the way. But while fleeing, they noticed something strange. The highway that once led out of the city was now sealed off by an enormous wall. There was no way out anymore. The entire city had been completely contained. Moments later, a helicopter appeared in the distance. When Beth turned back, she realized it was an army helicopter approaching rapidly. A powerful spotlight locked onto them. Just as they tried to run, a massive net dropped from above, trapping both Beth and Joey instantly. They struggled desperately, but the net tightened around them. Through the mesh, Beth saw dark figures with glowing green eyes approaching. At that moment, the truth was finally revealed. The armed figures with glowing yellow eyes, whom they had believed to be monsters, were not aliens or infected humans at all. They were military soldiers wearing gas masks and night vision goggles, the eerie glow coming from their equipment in the darkness. The real question then became clear. Why was the army hunting ordinary survivors like enemies? The answer soon followed. Beth and Joey were now completely under military control. One of the soldiers pulled out a large syringe and injected both of them in the neck. After testing their blood, the soldiers discovered that they too were infected with a deadly virus, which meant in the eyes of the military, they were now a threat to humanity itself. And that also meant only one thing: they were going to be executed. In reality, when the virus first began spreading, many people in that small city had already been infected. The virus spread through the air and transmitted extremely quickly from one person to another. The most dangerous part was that infected individuals themselves did not even realize they were sick. The government had no antidote or cure to stop it, and because of that, they believed the only solution was to eliminate anyone who might be infected. Beth breaks down, crying and begging the soldiers to spare her daughter, but when she realizes that the soldiers have no intention of letting Joey live either, something inside her snaps. Dark veins begin appearing across her face, showing signs of the infection activating. Before she can react further, blood suddenly bursts from a soldier's neck. The attacker is none other than Jason, who has returned from what seemed like certain death. He lunged at the remaining soldiers, overpowering them one after another, but eventually he could not withstand their gunfire. Bullets tore through him and he collapsed to the ground. Meanwhile, as soldiers advanced toward Beth and Joey, the two managed to break free from the net and escape. The soldiers spread out, searching for them, unaware that Beth herself had begun transforming as well. She hid Joey inside an abandoned car and turned back to fight. With terrifying strength, she attacked the soldiers and killed several of them before being shot and collapsing onto the car's roof. Hidden in the darkness, Joey witnessed everything. Seeing both her parents suffering pushed her beyond control. Consumed by anger, she leapt forward, knocked down a soldier, tore off his mask, and was about to kill him when Beth stopped her just in time. Beth did not want her daughter to lose her humanity and become a monster. Slowly, Joey calmed down, and the green veins visible beneath her skin faded as she returned to normal. The soldier, however, was not as fortunate. His protective mask had been destroyed, and he gradually became infected with the virus. Nearby, Jason lay gravely wounded. Looking at his daughter one last time, he gently brushed her eyes with 2 fingers before closing his own forever. At that moment, another helicopter appeared. Beth grabbed Joey and ran. Moving through piles of wreckage, they entered a tunnel to hide. Suddenly, a light shone toward them. When they looked closer, they realized it was the same neighbor's young boy seen at the beginning of the story. Trusting him, they followed as he guided them through a cave-like tunnel. Inside, they discovered his parents, along with several other survivors hiding there. All of them were infected, just like Beth and Joey. To survive, they had been forced to live underground like fugitives, hiding in darkness. The virus was dangerous, but it was not truly fatal. It only became violent when the infected lost emotional control through fear or rage. These survivors had learned to control themselves and live with it. They had believed the soldiers were monsters hunting them, but in truth, from the soldiers' perspective, the infected themselves were the threat. In that revelation, the story comes to an end.